morning everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel then welcome. My name's Leslie Ann. This particular video I'm going to do today is one that's been requested quite a lot. As you can see, I've got Elsie and Teddy on the bed here sniffing around because I don't always film from my bedroom, so but they do sleep up here on the bed. Anyway, let's get into this video. It is about the dogs anyway. I have been asked several times, how did I get into boarding dogs in my own home, and what do I do, and the products I use to keep my house smelling nice and clean with having dogs coming in and out of the house. Let's get on with the reason why I started to do dog boarding at home. I have always had dogs in my life for as many years as I can remember, and even before the years I can remember. When I was born, I was brought home from the hospital to, we already had a dog. We had an Alsatian dog called Shirley. Yeah, a bit of a funny name for a dog, I know, but obviously I didn't name her. And she was just an adorable, protective, as they are, dog. She was lovely. As I started to get older, she became like my best friend, really. If anyone came to the front door, she would stand in front of me as a way of, you know, being the barrier between the person at the front door and myself. So she was like the intermediate one. And if she really didn't like the look of somebody, she wouldn't try to attack them or anything. It never ever got to that stage, but no doubt she would have done if she needed to. But what she used to do is like push me down to the floor and lay over me so that nobody could get me. Oh, she was so adorable. Yeah, and she just passed away of old age. Then I had a dog called Pepsi. I was probably around about 8, I think, and I had a poodle called Pepsi. She was an apricot poodle, and I named her Pepsi because, being an apricot poodle, she just resembled the colour of, you know, like the froth that you get on the top of your bottle of Pepsi. She was sort of that colour, and I just said, she just reminds me of Pepsi. So anyway, we called her Pepsi, which was really sort of fitting with the colour of her. She was lovely. Again, she had a full life. Unfortunately, she had cancer, but it was in her older life, so, you know, we had to do the right thing for her. There's just been a whole succession of dogs in my life. When I was first married, I had a dog, I had cats. When my children all came along, we had 2 dogs, 2 King Charles Cavaliers. We had cats, we had rabbits, we had guinea pigs, we had, my daughter Holly had a rat. We had like a whole menagerie going on, honestly. Oh, at one time I had chickens as well. So I've always loved animals, so that's what I'm probably trying to say. Dog boarding was something I've always wanted to do, but I've never really been able to do it. While the children were little, I've got 6 children, so I had 6 kids running around, and obviously all the animals running around, that it just wasn't something I was able to do. And then as the years went by, at the time I was working for a department store. The first letter begins with a J and the second letter is an L, so work that one out. Yeah, and I was working for them in one of the offices, doing all the special orders and stuff like that. And then I was told that our department was going to be made redundant, and we could either apply for jobs within the partnership, that's giving it away a bit more, or we could just take our redundancy. So I just thought at that time, I'm just going to take my redundancy and I'm going to do what I always wanted to do, and I'm going to work for myself, and I'm not going to put money into anybody else's pockets. It's all going to be on my terms, and I can take the time off when I want to, and sort of just get me out of the whole dictatorship, if you like. Yeah. that's another story altogether. However, so that's what I did. I knew that redundancy was coming. It was about 2 years down the line. So Chris and I made plans. Chris used to work in London in the city. He used to work for an investment bank. When he stopped working for the bank and he took early retirement, we just decided, look, let's just plan the next couple of years and make it something we really want it to be. So the first thing we did was we cleared the mortgage and then we moved. So we started looking for a house in a completely different location. We wanted to have a complete change. So we bought a house in Portsmouth. It was a beautiful house. It was a 4-bed Victorian house, just a beautiful house with high ceilings, lots of the original features, and I absolutely loved that house. So the first thing I did was to phone the taxman, and I explained, look, this is what I want to do. I want to be setting myself up as self-employed, and I want to be doing it with effect from, and I think it was something like the May or something. And so what do I need to do now? This is what I want to do. So they said to me, okay, so do you know what you want to call yourself, the nature of the business, sort of blah, blah, blah. And obviously I did, I knew all of that. So I did all of that, and then they said that they would send me my self-employed number. Then when I got that, I could go along and sort of keep setting it all up, which is what I did. I mean, that was a long time ago now, so that's what I did. And then what I started to do then was to advertise, sort of with the dates that I would be available. I contacted my local council to see what I had to do as far as that was concerned. So you know, did all the stuff with the local council and everything, who dictate how many dogs you're allowed into the house. And then the other thing that I did was to set myself up with a public liability insurance. So sort of did all of that, did all the admin stuff beforehand. I had some business cards printed, sort of dotted those around. I advertised on a website for a while, and yeah, I advertised a couple of times on Gumtree, and then I advertised on Facebook as well. I just could not believe the interest immediately. I think what people liked was my concept, which was the fact that nothing was out of bounds for the dogs. I've had dogs all my life, as I've just said, and my dog's always been part of the family, and they've been allowed to, you know, sort of go where they want to in the house, and that wasn't going to change if they were somebody else's dogs. I wanted to treat them exactly the same as I treated my own dogs, and I know how much, I know how I would want my dogs to be looked after, so I wouldn't look after anybody else's dogs any other way than how I'd look after mine. So the interest was immense. I mean, it was just absolutely colossal, and I was contacted by so many different people. So I gave myself a little bit of time, a little bit of space. I think it was probably about 6 weeks between leaving my other job and starting up the dog business, actually sort of taking dogs in on their holidays. During that time, myself and Chris booked up and we went to a couple of sort of self-employed workshops, stuff like that. Had some paperwork printed up, had all the forms, sorted out all the forms, sort of the health forms and consent forms and stuff, all that sort of thing, you know, all the admin side of it. Receipt book sorted, got my folders, all of that, got everything ready. My very first dog was a dog called Martha, and she was beautiful. And I say she was because, yeah, I think it was about maybe just a tad over a year ago she passed away. Oh, she was beautiful. And I'll insert a picture of Martha here. She's absolutely beautiful, beautiful dog, and she became like an extension of our family, and we had Martha many times and got to know the family really well, and we've all become friends, and they have now got another dog who comes on her holiday. So yeah, it's just been amazing. And then it came to the point where I had to stop advertising because I was having to turn people away, which I didn't like to do. Most people asked me if I could recommend anyone, and unfortunately I couldn't, because I didn't know anyone else who did it exactly the same as me, and if they didn't do it the same as me, I wouldn't recommend them. I mean, there's plenty of people that have set themselves up now in dog boarding, but the dogs are not, in the majority of them, the dogs are not allowed all around the house. The dogs are not allowed on the beds. In my mind, if the dog's allowed on the bed at home, it can be on the bed here. I've got throws. I can put all sorts down to protect the beds, but I just want the dogs to be happy and content and not a bag of nerves and upset while their humans are on their holidays. I had to stop advertising because, as I say, it became word of mouth, and that was just a tad over 9 years ago now. That's really all about the dog boarding. I've made some terrific friends. If I go on holiday, if any of my children are available to look after my dogs, I prefer that. Sometimes they might go to one of my children's houses. But other than that, they go to friends of ours who they became our friends through dog boarding because we look after their dogs, and we've just built up such a lovely friendship. So, you know, they're happy to have our dogs, so that's what we do. And I'm actually so busy now that I have to try and book myself out some holiday, otherwise I would be working literally 365 days of the year. So I do book some holiday out now. I didn't in the early days because that's when I wanted to really get the business up and running, and it just became a little bit all sort of time consuming and overwhelming. I just didn't have time to do anything else with the family. So that's the lesson that I have learned, that it's important to take time out like you would in any job. You put your holidays off, and the other thing is, to save disappointment, everyone books up the majority of people now book up about a year in advance. They say, right, can I have next June, can I have next whatever, next Christmas, can I have, you know, because if they all leave it to the last minute, and believe me, a lot of them have, you know, it's crazy how many people used to book their holiday and then say, oh, could you have my dog or dogs on blah blah blah, and I'm like, no, I'm booked, I can't, I'm absolutely fully booked, I'm really sorry. But really, you know, think about what time of year you're going to be booking your holiday, and then maybe discuss it with me. Ask me to pencil it in, then see if you can book your holiday for those days, because I really don't mind if people if I have to pencil it in for somebody and then they change those dates, or if they have to cancel, because I can always fill it. So I would rather that than have a lot of disappointment. Anyway, so that's kind of the whole dog thing. So that's sort of how I really got into dog boarding. And then as for how I keep my house clean and it doesn't smell doggy, and the amount of people that come in my house and say, oh, I thought it would smell really doggy, but it doesn't. No, it doesn't smell doggy at all. There really isn't need. The only time I might have the odd whiff of dog in here is if we've been out for a long walk and it's rained and so they've got really wet. If we've been down to the beach and they've been swimming, then, you know, it's all to do with the whole wet dog smell, isn't it, you know. But 9 times out of 10 they just don't smell at all. Whenever we walk dogs, first thing we do when we get home is to wash their feet, wash their paws. We always wash their paws, whether that's our dogs or anybody else's dogs, they always get washed. And that's purely and simply because these days there's a lot of viruses out there that dogs can pick up through their paws. So the first thing we do is make sure that there isn't any mud left in between their little pads or anything. So that's the first thing we do. I do groom them a lot. I don't mean like cut them or anything, but I brush the dogs regularly. I also use, like, I've got a doggy deodorizer that I can put on the brush before brushing them, so all of that helps. I hoover every single day, at least once a day, pretty generally once a day. But it depends. If I've got a really, really hairy dog that really sheds, then, you know, it's going to be more than once a day. I always use things like, I always use antibacterial wipes, I always use antibacterial sprays on my worktops. After I've fed the dogs, I wipe down all my worktops. The dog bowls are washed and dried and put away after every meal. I don't leave any dog bowls down that they've just finished. I don't leave any empty dog bowls down at all. Number one, it can attract flies. Number two, they can actually get territorial over the bowls. And I just don't want them around. So, you know, I just wash them, dry them, put them back in the dog cupboard. And so there's never any like stale food smells, dog food smells around. Always got a clean, huge big bowl of water for the dogs in the kitchen. In the summertime we have several bowls outside in the garden. At night time before I go to bed, I just go around with some Febreze and give it a quick everywhere over the soft furnishings. So I do that, so it's all nice and fresh in the morning. You know, all the normal things, like open your windows when you can. I burn candles, but I don't do it to mask any smells because I just really don't have them. Yeah, just keep your floors clean, keep them washed, keep your surfaces washed, clean up behind your dogs. Obviously if any of them do their business in the garden, come here, come on, come here then. If you want me to pick you up, Teddy. Right, thank you. Oh, look, what's that? If any of them do their business in the garden, which incidentally is all literally just patioed, there isn't any grass in the garden at all, then it's picked up. Chris does that job. I will do it if he's not here, but he does tend to, like, he wants to be the, you know, wants to be the man, and he wants, no, my wife's not doing that, but I do it. Yeah, so he cleans up all day long. All day long we'll be cleaning it up. Because we've got grandchildren coming in, we've got dogs running around, we don't want them treading in it. So if we see anything out there that they've just done, first thing we do is go pick it up. We do a little inspection of the garden at least 2 or 3 times a day, and we hose down all the slabs. Every single day they're hosed down, and so we get the pine disinfectant. The dogs are in the house, Chris will go into the garden, and then he will just make up this solution of the pine disinfectant. That goes all over the patio, and what are you doing? And then it's completely hosed down. So it's important for us to keep everything in a tip-top, hygienic way, and that is why my house doesn't smell. It doesn't smell of dogs. That is how I keep my house clean. So this is how I got into dog boarding, why I love it so much still, and how I keep my house clean and stay on top of it all. Of course I bath them if they need to have a bath. Who likes to have a bath? I've just had an Amazon delivery, and can you see somebody here? Oh, we stopped it now. He was chewing on the corner of the box. She's going to have a look now. There, so she's going to have a little chew now, look. So I hope that's given you some insight into my dog boarding business and which incidentally is called Cave 9 Cuddles Hotel for Dogs, and how I keep my house lovely and clean and tidy and smelling beautiful. See you all in the next one. Bye.